What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today I'll be taking a look at the interest for the 2024 ToyotaCare 500 at Richmond Raceway. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start talking about the 00 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. This one's going to be driven by Cole Custer. Cole Custer off to a pretty solid start in 2024 with a couple top 5s and a couple top 10s so far this season. He's still looking for his first win of 2024, but I think he's got a good chance and opportunity considering Stewart-Haas Racing short track program has been pretty good in recent seasons. Up next, how about the one car for Junior Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer finally had a decent performance last week. It's been a little bit hit or miss run so far in 2024 for Sam Mayer and a lot of mistakes on the track. He'll be looking to continue the momentum. He'll be looking to win his first race of 2024 as he looks to improve on a bad start of 2024 in the one car. Up next, how about the two car for Richard Childress Racing? This one's going to be driven by Jesse Love. Jesse Love's been off to a pretty good start as a rookie in 2024. He's gotten a couple top 10s, a top 5 so far this year, and was pretty fast last week at Circuit of the Americas. I do think that Jesse Love will have a pretty good performance. He's been good at short tracks throughout his career. I think he's got a good chance and opportunity to get a great finish this weekend at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 4 car for JD Motorsports? This week, it'll be driven once again by Dawson Cram, who returns behind the wheel of the 4 car this weekend. Dawson Cram's looking to have a really good performance. He's an underrated driver at short tracks. Has qualified pretty well at these types of tracks in the past as well. And they'll be looking to have a really good run with JD Motorsports this weekend at Richmond. Up next, how about the 5 car for Our Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Anthony Alfredo. Anthony Alfredo's been off to a pretty good start in 2024, but last week did not go so well for him at Circuit of the Americas. He's looking for a much better performance this weekend, though he is a good short track racer, and Our Motorsports does get a lot of help from RCR. We'll see if they can run good this weekend at Richmond. Up next, how about the 6 car for JD Motorsports? It's still to be announced at this moment who will get behind the wheel. I think it could be someone like a Ty Dillon, perhaps. It could be a potential possibility. Maybe someone like a Caden Honeycutt. That could be a possibility at this point. Who knows at this point, but right now the 6 car is currently unlisted. It'll be behind the wheel, and that'll be probably announced in the coming days. Up next, how about the 07 car for SS Greenlight Racing? This one's going to be driven by Patrick Emerling, who's back behind the wheel after not racing last week at Circuit of the Americas. Patrick, a really good modified driver, but probably not the greatest in the Xfinity Series with SS Greenlight. We'll see how he can perform and can do this weekend at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 7 car for Junior Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Justin Allgaier. Justin Allgaier is off to kind of a little bit of hit or miss start in 2024, but he's had some good performances, hasn't really had the finishes to show for it. He's looking to have a good performance this weekend in the 7 car at Richmond Raceway. We do know that these cars are pretty quick at times. We'll see if Justin Allgaier can have a great performance this weekend at Richmond. Up next, how about the 8 car for Junior Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith started the year off really strong and did have an okay performance going at COTA, but unfortunately fell out of the race. Now, last year at Richmond, Sammy Smith was pretty good, but that was in a Joe Gibbs car compared to a Junior Motorsports car. So we'll see if Sammy Smith can have a good performance and have a great bounce back run this weekend at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 9 car for Junior Motorsports? This one's going to be driven by Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones is off to a pretty good year in 2024. He's had a much better start and has looked like a playoff contender all year long. Seems like his sophomore year with the team has gone a lot better. And he has been pretty solid at Richmond in the past. So we'll see if Brandon Jones can have a good continued performance and run well this weekend in the 9 car at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 11 car for Kaulig Racing? This one's going to be driven by Josh Williams. Josh Williams is needing some good performances. It has been a struggle for this 11 team in 2024. He has only had one finish inside the top 15 and is still looking for his first top 10 of 2024. He needs to start turning the corner really quickly because he's at this point in a must-win situation because he's like 27th or 28th in points. He's kind of in the danger zone. He needs to start having a much better performance if he's going to keep the seat long-term with Kaulig. Up next, up with the 14 car for SS Greenlight Racing. This is still to be announced at this point, but my best guess is most likely going to be JJ Yeley. JJ Yeley's already made a few select starts with this organization and team, and that's my early prediction who's going to get behind the wheel of this seat when they go to the track. Nonetheless, it's good to see the 14 car back this weekend. Up next, how about the 15 car for AM Racing? This one once again be driven by Hailie Deegan. Hailie Deegan's had a very disappointing start to 2024, but she has been decent at Richmond. She had a top 15 performance in the Truck Series, and AM Racing did show some decent pace on short tracks last year. I think that Hailie Deegan has a chance for top 15, but she needs to start collecting points so that when we go to road courses, she is not in the danger zone. Up next, how about the 16 car for Colleague Racing? This will once again be driven by AJ Allmendinger. Now, AJ Allmendinger has not been amazing at Richmond, whether it's the Cup Series or the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It just seems like the track really does not fit him or suit him well. I think AJ will have an okay performance, but I think he might have his worst performance of the season so far. We'll see how he ends up doing this weekend in the 16 car with Colleague Racing this weekend. Up next, how about the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This will once again be driven by Sheldon Creed. Now, Sheldon Creed has historically been really good at this track and has been pretty good to start off 2024, though unfortunately did fall out of the race due to issues. I think that Sheldon Creed will have a good bounce back run, though, because Joe Gibbs Racing has historically been amazing and really great at this racetrack. I think Sheldon Creed will be a threat to get his first career win. Up next, up with the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This weekend will be the debut of Taylor Gray, who will drive the 19 car this weekend. Taylor Gray, the younger brother of Tanner Gray, has been making a name for himself in the Truck Series this year as he is a championship threat there. I don't expect Taylor Gray to contend for the win, but I do think he will have a good performance with Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll see how he ends up doing, and we'll see if he can have a really great performance in the 19 car at Richmond Raceway. Up next, up at the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This weekend, it'll be driven by Eric Almirola, who will make his third Xfinity Series start of 2024. Eric Almirola has some good races going, but the finishes have not been there to show for it. But I think this weekend, he might be the favorite. That 20 car has been really good to start off 2024, and I think he will be a threat for the win in the 20 because he's been really great at Richmond throughout his career. So I expect Eric Almirola to be up front and be a fast contender this weekend at Richmond. Up next, how about the 21 car for Richard Childress Racing? This will once again be driven by Austin Hill. Now, Austin Hill had a very controversial performance last weekend at Circuit of the Americas, but he still has been off to a very solid and good start in 2024. He's looking to continue that momentum and build on that, and is looking to have a great run this weekend at Richmond. We'll see if the driver of the 21 can potentially get win number 3 of 2024. Up next, up at the 26 car for Sam Hunt Racing. This will once again be driven by Corey Heim, will make his third Xfinity Series start of the season. Now, Corey Himes has some really good speed, but the finishes, like I've already mentioned, for certain drivers have not been there to show for it. I think Corey Heim will be a threat to win, or maybe at least a threat to get a top 10, because Sam Hunt Racing historically has been pretty great at Richmond, which I think is a home base for this team, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see if Sam Hunt Racing can run good, and Corey Heim as well. Up next, up at the 27 car for Jordan Anderson Racing. This will once again be driven by Jeb Burton. Jeb Burton's been off to an okay start this year, but it hasn't been an amazing year by any stretch of the imagination. He's looking to have a bounce back performance after kind of a mediocre run at the race at COTA. We'll see how he ends up doing, and we'll see if he can have a little bit of a better run in the number 27 car this weekend at COTA. Up next, up with the 28 car for RSS Racing. This will be back in the hands of Kyle Sieg, who will make his first start in the last couple of weeks. Kyle Sieg's been pretty good on short tracks this year, but always avoids the road courses. That being said, I do think Kyle Sieg has a decent chance to get a good run. We'll see how he ends up doing this weekend at Richmond Raceway in the 28 car. Up next, up with the 29 car for RSS Racing. This will once again be driven by Blaine Perkins. Blaine Perkins had a couple good runs to start the season, and the rest of the year has been very disappointing. He's been involved in wrecks and been involved in issues, but he's looking to have a little bit of a better performance as we're going to a track where RSS has been good at previously. Up next, how about the 31 car for Jordan Anderson Racing? This will once again be driven by Parker Retzlaff. Parker Retzlaff started the year off really strong, but the last couple weeks have not gone amazing for him. He's looking for more of a better bounce back performance. We see if he can do it. He's qualified really good at short tracks. We'll see if he can have the finishes to show for it this weekend at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 32 car for Jordan Anderson Racing? It's unclear if this is going to be prepared by Jordan Anderson Racing or if this is going to be a Mike Harmon Racing entry. If this is maybe a Mike Harmon entry, maybe Ryan Vargas gets behind the wheel, or maybe Caden Honeycutt. Maybe bring someone in who does have a little bit of funding with them. We'll see what happens, but the 32 car is back. Glad to see him showing up once again this weekend. Up next, how about the 35 car for Joey Gase Motorsports? This will once again be driven by Joey Gase. Joey Gase has made select starts this year in Xfinity, but has been more focused on being the owner of this team and organization. We're going to see how he ends up doing. I don't expect Joey Gase to set the world on fire, and this 35 team is a little bit of danger in the owner's points currently at this moment. Up next, how about the 38 car for RSS Racing / Viking Motorsports? This will be driven by Matt DiBenedetto, who will make his first NASCAR Xfinity Series start of the 2024 season. I expect Matt DiBenedetto to get a top 20 or top 25. This car is a little bit of danger zone in the owner's points, but I do expect that Matt DiBenedetto is going to do much better than CJ McLaughlin. I think he'll have a good performance. It's good to see Matt DiBenedetto back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Hope he can make the best of the opportunity with RSS Racing this weekend at Richmond. Up next, how about the 39 car for RSS Racing? This will once again be driven by Ryan Sieg. Ryan Sieg's been off to a much better performance in 2024 than it was last year, and is right now a borderline playoff contender in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So we'll see how he ends up doing. He's been decent in Richmond in the past, but I am worried they may have a little bit of issues with speed. We'll see if Ryan Sieg can have a good performance this weekend at Richmond Raceway. Up next, how about the 42 car for Young's Motorsports? This will once again be driven by Leland Honeyman Jr. Now, Leland Honeyman Jr. has been impressive at times this year. He's had a couple top 15s, I believe, and has had a couple top 20s as well. I do think that Leland Honeyman Jr. will have a chance for a top 20 because it seems like this car is peaking at top 20 speed. But that is pretty good for a first-year team and a first-year organization as a whole and as well. Up next, how about the 43 car for Alpha Prime Racing? This will once again be driven by Ryan Ellis. Ryan Ellis has been off to a pretty decent start to 2024, but he's also had a lot of not-so-good performances. He's had a lot of good performances, but the finishes have not always been there to show for. We'll see if Ryan Ellis can run really, really good, and see if he can run really great with the Alpha Prime Racing organization this weekend with that number 43 team at Richmond. Up next, how about the 44 car for Alpha Prime Racing? This will once again be driven by Brennan Poole. Brennan Poole's been impressing me so far this year. He's had 4 top 20 finishes and has at times had top 15 pace and speed. I don't think Brennan Poole is going to contend for a win this weekend, but I do think he will have a really great chance and a very strong opportunity for another top 20 finish, which will put that 44 team into being in a much better position in the owner's points, considering we were really worried about them earlier this year making races. Up next, how about the 48 car for Big Machine Racing? This will once again be driven by Parker Kligerman. Parker Kligerman has been off to a much better start in 2024. He did have some beef and some issues earlier this past week with Sage Karam at COTA, but he's had speed, he got a stage win, and got a playoff point at Circuit of the Americas, and I believe got a top 5 finish or top 10 as well. I think Parker Kligerman is getting better, and maybe in the future he will get that first win of his NASCAR Xfinity Series career. Up next, how about the 51 car for Jeremy Clements Racing? This will once again be driven by Jeremy Clements. Jeremy Clements has been off to a little bit of a mediocre start in 2024. He hasn't had a lot of bad finishes, but not a lot of great finishes. This is something that doesn't surprise or shock me, considering that Jeremy Clements Racing is a little bit behind at times. I'm not sure if he's going to do well this weekend in the 51 car at Richmond. Up next, how about the 66 car for MBM Motorsports? This is the last ride that is sold to be announced at this point. My early prediction is Timmy Hill, considering Timmy Hill did make the team's first start in Cup in nearly 2 years and will make another start during the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro. I think we'll see Timmy Hill behind the wheel, or maybe Sage Karam gets a chance and opportunity to drive with the team once again in the 66 car. Up next, how about the 81 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This will once again be driven by Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith has been the best driver overall so far in 2024, but he didn't have a great race at COTA last week. But I think that Chandler Smith is the biggest threat to win against maybe a guy like Eric Almirola. He won last time we were here in the spring race at Richmond, and I do believe that Chandler Smith will be a major threat and a serious contender to get it done this weekend. He'll be looking to get his second win of 2024 at Richmond. Up next, how about the 88 car for Junior Motorsports? This will be the first time the 88 car has been on the racetrack this season, and Bubba Pollard will make his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut. Bubba Pollard is one of the favorites going into this weekend because, one, he's in a Junior Motorsports car, and two, the 88 car has been very good at Richmond. Go back to Dale Jr.'s performances in this car and see. I expect Bubba Pollard to do a really, really great job and be a threat and contender to get his first career win in his first Xfinity Series start with Junior Motorsports. Up next, how about the 99 car for DGM, 91 car for DGM Racing? This will once again be driven by Kyle Weatherman. Kyle Weatherman had a pretty solid performance going at Circuit in the Americas, but didn't get the finish to show for it. And he's also been off to a pretty solid start, but not an amazing run going at this point. We'll see how Kyle Weatherman can do, and we'll see if he can have a bounce-back run, and maybe, just maybe, he could put on a really good show and get a good run this weekend at Richmond in the 91. Up next, the 92 car for DGM Racing. This will once again be driven by Josh Bilicki. Now, Josh Bilicki did have a pretty decent run going at COTA. He made the show and was able to make the field. And I think the 92 team is looking to continue the solid momentum they've had as of recently and see if they can continue their really good runs. We'll see if Josh Bilicki can have a good run with the 92 team this weekend at Richmond. Up next, top of the 97 car for Kaulig Racing. This will once again be driven by Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen has been extremely impressive so far in 2024. While the finishes have not truly shown for it this season, in certain races like last week at COTA, he has been closer and closer to winning races and getting victories. And I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if he somehow sneaks his way into victory, but I think realistically, I think that Shane Van Gisbergen more than likely 10 times out of 10 will probably get at least the top 10 this weekend at Richmond. And finally, let's talk about the 98 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. This will once again be driven by Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst historically has not been great at Richmond, but he's been getting better at short tracks, and his finishes have been getting a lot more consistent and a lot better as well throughout the 2024 season. He's still looking for his first win of the year. He's been getting closer and closer to getting that done and is still looking to get that second career victory. I think he'll have a good chance and opportunity to get it done this weekend at Richmond Raceway. So, that is the interest for the 2024 ToyotaCare 250. One thing, guys, for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Let's go jump below that and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your thoughts about the interest? Some of your thoughts in the comments below, and who's your pick to win this weekend at Richmond? Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have the NASCAR news video dropping, and we're also going to have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race picks for Richmond. And then on Thursday, we are going to have the race picks for the Cup Series race and the paint scheme video as well. And then Friday, there's going to be a NASCAR news video dropping on the channel. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.